What's up, internet? My name's Ori. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. You like this video, hit that like button, hit that notification bell. You'll never miss a video. You'll never miss a stream. Today is Monday, September 4th, day number 34 inside the Big Brother house. It's also Labor Day for us here in America. Anybody who's a Canadian watcher or international watcher, not 100% sure if you guys also have a holiday today. If you do, happy holidays. I hope you enjoyed your nice long weekend. You have some barbecues, do whatever you do. Yesterday was a bit of a rough one, and it was one of those things where every time something like this comes up, it really sucks to have to deal with because I know what's going to happen. Not everybody's going to be happy. There are going to be people that are offended by things. There's going to be people that aren't offended by things. There's going to be people that I was kind of surprised with here who were saying like, oh, well, it's offensive, but not as offensive. And like, it makes it better. To me, that's like saying, oh, they got hit in the face, but, you know, they only got slapped in the face. You got hit in the face. That's not good, right? And I think the big thing here is there were lots of arguments where it was like, oh, we use it as a slang term for stupid or dumb. That's the problem that we're trying to say, is that if you use it like that regularly, it's the same argument that Tom and his supporters had. So, like, if you're trying to be like that, I don't know what to really tell you on that. And it was really tough for me because I think you guys all know I try and stay positive. I try and have really open discussions, but it was really kind of tough yesterday trying to discuss this one. Because the other part of this isn't a debate about what your values are. Because me personally, I believe in freedom of speech, freedom in self-autonomy, where it's whatever you do in your home, as long as you're not hurting another person. If you want to say whatever you want to do whatever you want, cool, go for it. But you don't get the freedom of no consequences, right? Like, you could still have somebody who comes along like myself who will tell you, hey, I don't think maybe you should do things that way. You're going to get other people that are going to come along and they're going to punch you in the mouth. And both of those are valid options for the way our world should work. What we really are trying to discuss here is what the show should do. Because my worry is we won't have a show anymore. I'm telling you guys, Big Brother Canada, we've lost the live feeds already. They're not coming back, ever, because they've already seen, oh, we don't need them. We can do these digital dailies. They're terrible. We don't want digital dailies in the US. I'm telling you, we do not want it. And if we continue down this path of every time some little controversy comes up, some people go, oh, we need to get them out. Or some people go, oh, it's not that bad. And we're bickering back and forth. It's just going to get rid of the thing that we love, Big Brother. My big thing was, how do we get the show to a point where we don't have to deal with this every time something comes up? And it seemed like after the Tom situation, because they had not done stuff like this in the past, when they expelled him, it seemed like they're going with this new idea that anytime somebody does something that is deemed offensive, they're just doing zero tolerance. And that is what they said. They're not following through on that. And now the policy is cloudy. And now every time something happens in the house, it's going to be this big debate on should they be expelled? Should they not be expelled? Some people are going to be happy about it. Some people aren't going to be happy about it. And eventually they're going to say, you know what? All these live feeds, they're just more problem than they are a benefit for the show. Let's just get rid of them. What I think should be the way it is either the zero tolerance policy, which is what they've started to do, or what I think is the best way to do this, and I think actually builds more to what Big Brother really is and really is supposed to be, harkens back to more of the old school Big Brother style. I don't think they'll ever go and do what I'm about to suggest, but I think it would be the best option. In Big Brother UK, the way they handled things was anytime somebody did something inappropriate, they would call them to the diary room. They would confront them with it. They would say, when you entered this house, you agreed to certain codes of conduct and rules of the house on what is acceptable and not acceptable to say. They would then confront them with what they said, with full transcripts, timestamps. They would pull the video up if they really asked for it. And they would say, at 7 o'clock in this room, you were with so-and-so and so-and-so, and you said this. They would then make them acknowledge they said it. They would ask them to apologize for it. And they would give them an official warning saying, if this happens again, you're gone. So it's one of those things where it's real, it's raw, it's not hidden away. It's a clear policy where, oh, this is what happens when something happens. We know what's going to take place. And also, it can be used as a teachable moment. You can take situations like Jared and say, you said this. You realize why it's wrong, correct? Apologize for it. If you do something like this again, you will have the consequences of being kicked from the game. And I think this is one of those things where it gives the person the chance to redeem themselves, which is a big thing I try and believe in. It's why, even though I hate what Tom did and I hate what Jared did, I would like to see more grace given to them than necessarily just holding them over the fire saying they're terrible people. Tom over here, he's kind of lost that now. He had his chance of redemption. That's why it says Tom there. I saw people say, oh, it's childish to call him Tom. No, it's childish for Tom not to admit, hey, I made a mistake and I need to own up to it. And until he does not get to have his picture and name said. And I think that is a fair policy. You might not agree with it. That's fine. But my main goal here is to express how we're going to lose the show that we love if we don't do something. And it's not even really something we can do. The show has to do it. And if the show doesn't do it, we're just going to continue to spiral every time something bad happens. And eventually, we will lose the show we love. That is all I will say about it now till we have another eventual controversy that we have to talk about. But yeah, it really makes the thing I love and enjoy, this game. I just want to watch people lie, manipulate, and backstab each other, which, as I say it, sounds worse than it is. But that's what I want to do. I don't want to see this that we have to deal with, and then on top of it, the outcry on social media on people never being satisfied with what the outcome is. It's why I feel that we need a very clear policy on what is and is going to happen so we don't have these debates anymore, and that maybe at least we can keep the thing we love and it doesn't get taken away from us. Now, I can kind of step away from that. Let's talk about the episode. Let's talk about the feeds. First off, I really didn't like the episode last night. It was kind of boring. I was excited to see the HOH competition, but we'll go over all that and how terrible it was. We saw Matt kind of telling everybody about his power. He told Jag, which I didn't really know if he had told Jag that he was going to be safe or not, but he did tell Jag beforehand. So really good acting from him. We were all really shocked. We literally didn't know if he won or not, or if he knew or not that he was going to be safe. It seemed like he really had no clue. We assumed he told Cirie, Matt, we assumed that beforehand that he was going to use it. We got confirmation that he did tell her that he was going to use it. And we also saw how she told Jared. And this is where Jared really fumbles, because he goes and tries to tip off Jag right before the vote that he's going to be safe. And Jag's like, well, wait a minute. If Matt told me and Cirie, then Matt must have either told Jared or Cirie must have told Jared, because how would he know I'm going to be safe? So that really tipped Jag off that something weird was going on there, which also was kind of funny with the opposite thing that happened later, with Cirie having kind of the worst take in the world, where she said she's so proud of the great player that Jared is becoming in front of her. Oh, Cirie, listen, you're great at this game, but you have a terrible read on your son. I'm just putting it out there. The HOH competition. It was maybe the worst HOH competition I've ever seen. Yes, it was knockout, which gave it a little bit more of something to go off of, and we'll kind of go over the order here of who went up and who called out who. But the actual competition itself, it had those pictures. We actually showed it in yesterday's update where one of them was Turner and Jasmine on like this like camping trip, and it looked like it was going to be like one of those things where they had things hidden, they'd have to find so many or whatever. But no, it was worse than that. They separated the pictures into 3 parts. They would read this long little letter. It was like a love note to one of the people. And then you would just have to listen for like the key word. If you just looked for that key word, that's all. You didn't need to pay attention to anything else. And then whatever that word was, the example was scooter in the rules as they were explaining it. You just had to hit A, B, or C, depending on what spot on the picture the item was in. They weren't hidden. They were so obvious. I've read Where's Waldo books that were harder than this. Like, it was the easiest competition I've ever seen them do. And it was almost embarrassing how easy it was. There was maybe like one that was like, oh, at least they had decoys there of like other protein shakes when Mr. Pectacular was up there. But other like do something better. Like the one particular I remember too, there was a unicorn right in the middle of the screen. Like it's right in front of you. Put it behind a box or something. Have like the unicorn horn like sticking out behind something. Make it difficult. Make it challenging. Because this was not challenging and was quite boring to watch. The only part of it that made it any entertaining was the fact that it was knockout. So we started with Cameron and Jared as the 2 random draws, Cameron getting to compete in this HOH because of the whole reset with Jag staying. Jared ends up winning. Cameron's out round 1. That's great for pretty much everybody in the house because Cameron was looked at as one of the big targets heading into this week. Next up, Jared, he got to choose who the next people would go up would be. He chose Red and Bowie. Bowie ends up getting eliminated. Red then ends up choosing Izzy and Jag. Not really a surprise there from Red for him choosing Izzy and Jag. Jag was supposed to be gone on Cameron's HOH, and Red and Cameron both have this very much distaste for Izzy and think that she's kind of spinning a lot of things going on around the house. Jag is eliminated. That makes Izzy get the chance to pick who goes up next. She actually chooses America and Red, which you would think maybe America's going to clue in on like, oh, she chose me. That's probably not great. But I didn't really see America kind of click on that just yet. We saw some of it talked about on the feeds, but it really wasn't kind of mentioned on the episode. But definitely I would think America is smart enough and knows the game well enough to realize like, oh, that's not good if Izzy's choosing me to go up there. Red was eliminated, which then gave America the chance to send people up. She chose Mimi and Matt, which Matt was kind of the interesting choice there. But also it's like how many people were really up there, and most of the other people up there she had kind of alliances with. Matt ended up getting eliminated, and that left Mimi with the options to choose who goes up. She went with Blue and Cory, again, which is kind of another interesting one. Early on in the game, Cory and Mimi had a really good relationship where they were kind of talking game a lot. They very much drifted apart at this point, and I think barely kind of talk at all. So after that, Cory was eliminated. Blue got to choose. He sent up Mimi and she sent up Mimi and Izzy. Mimi was eliminated. Izzy went with America and Blue. America was out. Blue sent up Cirie and Felicia, which is interesting because she still is believing that, you know, here's the other thing. I don't 100% think that Blue actually knows or believes that Jared has a mom in the house. I think she thinks he was kind of joking. I know she said she was leaning towards Cirie, but there's a lot of me that says like she really doesn't actually believe it, because she'll say things like, oh, I trust Jared, and like he's close to Cirie and Felicia. But like, if you truly believe or you truly know that Felicia or Cirie is his actual mom and you don't trust them, how can you trust him? Doesn't make any sense to me. So I don't think she actually really believes it. It's in her head, but I don't think she really actually believes it. Again, she put up Cirie and Felicia. Felicia ended up getting out. Cirie then put up Blue and Izzy. Again, with Izzy, it was just kind of like, well, is she going to put up Jared? No. Which, by the way, if you haven't noticed, Jared did not get sent up after. He went up the first time, and then the next time he went up was when it was only down to him and Cirie that Izzy could choose from. Because Blue got eliminated, Izzy chose Cirie and Jared. Cirie, I think, just kind of threw it because she's like, I don't need this. Jared's here and Izzy's here. They can handle this. So that left it be Izzy and Jared, which Jared ends up winning HOH. Other than that, we saw him kind of having his meetings about, you know, what he was going to do for nominations. He met with Cameron and he met with Red. And when he met with Cameron, Cameron threw Red completely under the bus about saying, hey, if you got to put him up, you got to put him up. I get it. And then it does end up being Cameron and Red who are nominated. I will say a little bit with Cameron, they kind of did him a little bit of dirty. Like, yes, he did say that, but he also in that meeting was more pushing for America to be the one to go up as a nominee, not himself and Red, but he really was kind of pushing for America to go up as one of the nominees, as well as Izzy. Like they've been kind of pushing the Izzy agenda, but not as much in that first one. He was just trying to go into self-preservation mode to make sure that both of them didn't end up on the block, but it did end up being both Cam and Red up on the block. That kind of finishing us up where the episode is. Let's jump into what happened on the live feeds. Because while there was a lot, there wasn't a lot, right? It was another one of those days where it was kind of like, what's it going to be? What's going to happen? Like where we're going to be at. When we ended with yesterday's update, the target was going to be on Jag. He was going to be the replacement. Today was a lot of the talks about like, are we going to do this? Is there any other way we can go about it? Cory was on the side that he's like, hey, no matter who goes up, I still think Red should be the one to go because Red and Cameron are way too dangerous together. And he would rather have Jag stay than Red and would rather Red to go. Matt obviously doesn't want Jag to go because he just used his power to save Jag and he feels like it would be kind of a waste and he would rather than put up America at the very least. And both him and Blue, though, do agree, you know what? Jag's kind of doing this to himself and he's not doing himself any favors. If he ends up on the block, there's not much they can really do to kind of stop that. But they could just hope that the 7 Deadly Sins alliance that they have will hold true. Speaking of which, they ended up meeting very late in the night where Jag, who had kind of been, again, talked about all day, different people talking about, like, this is what we should do. The only one who really, in the 7 Deadly Sins, didn't know that Jag was probably going to be up on the block was Jag and Matt. And in that meeting, Jag kind of says his piece. He's like, hey, I'm sorry if I gave you guys the impression that I was like, you know, going and talking to Cameron and things like that. But I promise you, like, this is my group right here. Like, I'm loyal to this. They then start kind of talking and they just keep going in circles about like, oh, who the replacement's going to be. Like, what could they do? It could be Bowie. It could be America. What if it was one of us they kind of put out there? And then even Blue was like, hey, Jag, what if you went up? Your name's been thrown out there a lot. And this was mainly because Jared had filled her in that, hey, look, it's going to be Jag to go up and, you know, kind of help if you were able to make that a little bit easier for me. She's also kind of fully aware that Jag would be the one to be evicted if he was still up. And she's got this weird thing where she's kind of latching onto Jared because I guess she feels like it's her only way to keep going forward is just latch on to Jared and kind of hope she can ride that out with him. Because she's like, you know, kind of stinks that all of my people are getting picked off one by one, but also it's kind of fun to have your hands in there getting messy. So she seems like she was kind of enjoying it in a weird little way, which kind of makes me like Blue a little bit more, that she's kind of conniving. I don't know. It's a thing. Like, she's actually doing a thing, and that's interesting to me. She's not just, you know, sitting there listening to Jared. Like, she's like, all right, let me go along with this, and actually, I'll help out, right? it's probably not great for her game in the long run. She wants to be loyal to Jag. Like, that would be the person that would actually help her. Jared's not going to help her in the long run. But yeah, it's a thing. So that ends up with Jag being like, oh, I mean, I don't want to go up as a pawn. Like, I'd rather not. And everyone's like, actually, yeah, that would kind of hide our like anything that's going on here. They would never think you're working with us. And Jake's like, yeah, but right, like, do we have to? And then eventually there was kind of this funny moment where Felicia just gets up. She's like, all right, enough. Just put him up on the block as a pawn. I'm going to bed. And she walks out of the room. And everyone's just like, what just? Jag's like, oh, what just happened? Am I now the pawn? Is that what's going to happen here? And he's pretty much just kind of forced to kind of go along with it. There's more kind of talks after she leaves, but when it comes down to it, it's just, yeah, I guess I'll give in and I'll go up. Like, we have the numbers, right? And they were talking about, it's like, yeah, we have the numbers because all you need is 5, and then Jared will break the tie, but we'll have 6 because we have Mimi and we have Cory in America. Like, we'll be fine. So now Jag thinks he's the pawn and he thinks he'll be safe, but he won't be, at least for now, because Izzy did end up going and having a little chat with Felicia before she ended up going to bed. And one of the big things she mentioned was, he's like, listen, there is still that worry, right? That, like, if Red and Cam end up winning HOH, there's a possibility they could throw, like, 2 of us up together, right? Whereas if Jag's there, there's a much better chance that they would throw up Jag before they would throw up them together. So he acts like a little bit of a shield. So even though Jag is going up and at this moment is leaving, we know this group. This group is full of, I'm not going to hit it. I'm not going to hit the button. I'm not going to hit the button. It's not 1 yet, so I'm not going to hit the button. You guys know I want to hit the button and I want to do a little, but I'm not going to hit the button. I'm not going to do it. If it happens, we'll hit the button. We've got 3 days now until eviction, so anything could happen. But yeah, it's possible that it could switch off a Jag. It could flip. I mean, it hasn't. It hasn't. And then there was one more really interesting thing I wanted to mention to you guys was Cory doing a really interesting cam talk late at night. Just, again, talking about his game. It's always kind of fun listening to him chat about it. And it's kind of a shame because he was seeing the game really well, but he's starting to be blinded a little bit. But the one thing he has kind of decided is he has a good relationship, he feels like, with Izzy. He has a good relationship, he feels like, with Jared. He respects Cirie, and he's a big fan of Cirie. But when they communicate, he feels like there's something missing there, and he doesn't have that personal connection with her. And he sees how good she is in the house, and everything comes back to her, and how surprised he is by how chaotic and messy she is. But she still finds herself in a great position in the house. And while Cameron would be somebody that, if he had won HOH this week, which, by the way, this would have been the perfect week for Cory to win HOH. He could have put up Cameron and Red. He would have been in control of this. He could have put up, someone like Bowie or something like that, and made sure that either Cam or Red were sent home. And it would have been good for his game. It would have been good for America's game. They could have kept Jag around, and it could have kind of at least pushed this down the line. Because what we're going to be running into here is people are going to have to start making some really tough choices. Because now Cory's saying, it's like, I don't know if I can win HOH, because who do I put up? It would have been Red and Bowie. And he's like, now with Cameron, I kind of want Cameron in this game, because as long as he's here, he's a shield for me. So, and he can also take those shots. And one of the big things he said was, if Cameron were to win HOH and put up, say, Felicia and Cirie, or Izzy and Cirie, he would try and make sure that Cirie leaves, because he realizes how much of a threat she is. So we're building here. There's a lot of really tough decisions that are going to have to be made here soon by a lot of different people. And they all have these twisted interlinking alliances. We don't have our new alliance chart for the week yet. I usually like to do that after the veto ceremony. The one thing I find is every week when I do this, I start putting it together, which I have already started on the new one, but I start putting it together. I'll get it all ready. I'll release it right after the veto ceremony. And then that day, an alliance either breaks up or forms. So I like to hold it for as long as I can on the day of the veto, because that usually seems to be when most things are kind of locked in for the rest of the week. So I'll have that for next update. We should have a better idea of what's going on with that. But you can see there's a lot. There's already some stuff here that really needs to be gotten rid of and changed and the like. But yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. Other than that, that really kind of covers the most of everything that was happening on the feeds. We talked about how Red and Cameron are still kind of having their issues. There's the Korean America stuff, which is still a thing as well. And it seems like Cameron now at this point is telling things to Cory where he's like, you know, hey man, just be careful, right? Like I don't know if you can trust her very much. So that was kind of weird. And there was stuff about, you know, just weird stuff. Also, America said she kind of told him off about something today. I didn't see it, but I heard that conversation, and I tried looking for a timestamp, but I don't know if it was actually on the feeds when she did it or not. I know there was a weird convo they had where they were sitting around and she kind of like went, but I don't think that was the one she was talking about here in particular. I think there was something else that happened. But nonetheless, that was kind of just other stuff that was happening throughout the day. But yeah, that pretty much covers it. We're going to have the veto ceremony today. We'll actually know whether or not Jag does go up on the block, because who knows with this group? They could easily switch to America last minute. So it could be Bowie that goes up. Any possibility with these house guests is not out of the realm of possibility. But yeah, let me know what you guys are thinking down in the comments down below. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button. You like this video, hit that like button. Hit that notification bell. You'll never miss a video. You'll never miss a stream. Links to all my socials in the description down below. Pinned comment. You can find things like my Twitter, Twitch, Discord, Kick. Everything that you want to follow, you can find it all down there. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I really do appreciate all of you, especially on the days like we had yesterday where it was kind of rough. And then today I kind of had to get myself back into the groove of kind of enjoying myself as I was watching the show, because it can be tough when you have all this kind of stuff going on, and just kind of ruins the vibe of everything. So thank you guys again so much. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I will see you next time.